I get why you're asking this line of question. I just don't see it being asked to men a lot. Like, why did you choose to be a neurosurgeon? Why don't you just, do this line of work instead? Why did you choose to be ambitious? Like, I feel like it's so directed at women. Like, why did you choose to, leave your virtuous woman duties and pursue a career? But I really don't see that asked to men, and I understand why. I understand there's traditional duties assigned to men and women, but societies change, and I don't understand why we still have to go through this line of questioning.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the current state of things is completely unsustainable. People ask me all the time, what do you think is going to happen? How do we battle feminism? How do we battle the problems in modernity that we have with falling birth rates and broken families, high divorce rates, and people not even bothering to get married anymore, and nobody having babies? What should we do, Rach? How do we fix this? And I'm like, it's a self-correcting problem, because this situation is totally unsustainable. The future, if everybody turns out, if all the young women are raised like you girls and they have your mentality, and this is not a dig at any one of you individually, because I understand exactly the world you were raised in, the propaganda you were raised with, everything from pop music to movies to every TV show you've ever watched tells you you need to be a strong, independent woman and have a career and follow your dreams and all that stuff. I get it. But the future, if everybody follows your path, there is no future. There's no world, because there's no people, there's nobody to keep the lights on, and humanity dies out. And the reason why, when you say, why do we have to endure this line of questioning, it's because only one of us can have the babies. The men can't have the babies. They can't gestate a child for 9 months and birth it and nurse it and raise it. And we need the men to be making the world livable for the only people who can do that, which is women. So all of the other jobs, all the careers we've talked about, those careers exist to support one occupation, one purpose, which is being a mother. The world around you, the reason it's built is so that future generations can be born. That's the only reason for it. What good is a world full of technology and robots and Wi-Fi and electricity if no one's going to be born into it, if we're having like one child per woman? In fact, in the United States, we have rising mortality rates for the first time since the Industrial Revolution. We're the only developed nation in the world that has rising mortality rates, meaning more women are dying in childbirth than years past. It's on the rise. Why would that be? Anybody take a guess as to why mothers would be dying more in childbirth in America now than they were the last 60, 70 years?
They start having babies later on in their life.
You got it. That's exactly right. The rising maternal age is the reason for that. So having babies when you're 35 plus is a lot riskier. It's a lot riskier to the mom, it's riskier to the child. And what happens when we train women to do education and career first and then think about family when they're in their 30s, 40s, you maybe get 1 to 2 children. That's it. So I understand on an individual level, you might be annoyed and be like, well, but my dream of, whatever you wanted to do, I think you said some kind of healthcare related field. I mean, that's cool and everything, but you won't have a world. There won't be a world left for you to do anything in if we don't have kids. So I've asked this question before, but I want to ask you guys going around. If it was the case that you had a choice, you could either do what you want with your life, you could follow your dreams and have a career, and if you do that, if all of you did that, the human race dies out in 300 years from now. Or if all of you decide, okay, we're gonna have children and be moms, but you don't get to chase your personal dreams and your career goals and your material ambitions, but the human race gets to survive, which would you pick?
Personally, I would choose my career just because I don't want children. And although that doesn't really matter to this exact question, I think that we're all gonna die at some point. And I mean, if you're not living your life for you, then what are you living it for? I mean, I don't know. That's my personal opinion, though. Everybody else can be different.
All right. What about number 2?
Well, you said something earlier about how it's mainly men who are doing the engineering and the lighting and stuff, but I'm currently in engineering, and There's been like a lot of women in engineering too, and this might be like a sidetrack, but what would happen like to those women who are chasing after that degree? Would they just not achieve it then?
Yeah, so in the hypothetical scenario I just laid out, I'm just asking you personally, if they came to you and they said, look, ladies, we're recruiting moms because otherwise we're projecting that humanity's gonna die out in 300 years. So we're asking you, please stay home and have children, but I mean, we're gonna let you choose your career if that's what you wanna do, but if you do that, if most of you do that, we only got about 300 years left before humanity dies out. What would you choose? And I'll answer the question about what would happen to the other women in a minute.
I would stay home and take care of my children.
Okay, what about number 3?
I don't know. I feel like that's a really, really tough thing to decide on, but I feel like, okay, can I ask you a question? And then, depending on your answer, do you think it's smarter for women to have their kids and then once they hit 18, then start a life? Or do you think a woman's life should just be raising her kids?
I think we give women bad advice because we tell them to do everything backwards. I think it's inverted. So I think you should spend your early adulthood finding a good husband and having your family. And once your kids get older, say your youngest is like 10 or 12, you can start making moves toward, okay, maybe I want to do this, once they're out of school, maybe once they're all grown up and moved out, maybe I want to do this occupation or I want to go to college for this. Yeah, you can start like going part-time to college, paying it a piece at a time. You can start preparing yourself for other things because there's a lot of life after. I'm 44 years old. My oldest 2 are in their 20s and moved out. The youngest 2 are still at home. And so I can do some stuff like this, now I have a book that I wrote and I can come on and talk to you guys. I can do some more fun things. But I put in, about 18 years of child raising before I really got to that. And everybody told me I was doing it wrong. They were like, it's such a shame. Your life's gonna turn out horrible. You're making the wrong choice. You're gonna regret it. You're gonna wish that you had your own money and your own job and blah, 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 blah. That's not how it turned out for me. And I think that all women could do it that way. And they did. Like, we have a lot of incorrect ideas about what life was like for women before feminism. They weren't all chained to stove and not allowed to leave the house and all that shit. That's all baloney. But what I'm trying to get at here is like, each of you, when we talk about which choice you'd make, like the career or the babies, we've asked this before and I'll let you keep going around, but usually it ends up being, well, I'm gonna do what makes me happy. And if humanity dies, it dies. But men don't ever even really get that choice. Men don't ever even contemplate that. Men are like, well, the world needs to be built. Men don't get value just from being cute. Like, you guys could do nothing. You could just sit there and every word that comes out of your mouth can be absolutely R-worded and you can be total airheads and be totally good for nothing. And as long as you're cute, some man is gonna love you and pay your bills and give you whatever you want and do whatever he needs to do to make you happy. Men don't have that. Men have to provide value or nobody gives a shit about them. And even when they do provide value, people still don't give a shit about them. Men have always been expendable. They're always going to be expendable, according to the world. That's just how it is. So men know, like, well, if the concrete needs to be laid, I'm gonna lay the concrete. If the power lines are down, I'm gonna go outside and like figure out how to get them back up. Men don't have this idea that there's no duty for them and that their life is just about them and what they want to pursue. It's just not like how the male mindset works. And the way we raise women now, it didn't used to be that way. But the way we raise it now, most young women have like if I asked you what's a duty you have to the world outside yourself, I doubt you'd have anything for me. But if anybody does, please let me know. Does anybody here think they have a duty to society outside of themselves?
Isn't it to birth kids and take care of them to produce more, like to grow the humanity or whatever?
I would say, that's what I would say. I'd say we have a duty to continue the human race. But in times past, when I've asked girls on this panel that question, they all say no. They say, I don't have a duty to have kids. You can't tell me I gotta have kids. Chair 1 said she doesn't really want kids. The girl over here in the green top said she probably doesn't want kids. How many of you want kids? Okay, a few of you do, and several of you don't. So I mean, that would be great if women were doing their duty, but they're not. The average American woman's having like 1.8 kids. And childlessness will reach an all-time unprecedented high within the next 7 years. The majority of women of fertile age will not have children and will just be working in the future. And that's a huge problem. And I think that it's a big mistake to raise women and train them to have this mindset that, well, it's just about me and what I want. It's about me and my dreams. And it's about, like, don't you think that that's probably like a bad idea? Anybody?
I think it might be a little unfair to put this extreme ultimatum on us that, like, I get it, what you're saying, you know, the population has to go on. I just don't want to, like, put this question on me that, like, oh, I'm not doing my part in saving humanity. I don't know.
We might not want to, but that's reality. And, you know, so what if what if we had a panel of men and they were like, yeah, you know, what I really want to do, I want to start my World of Warcraft guild. I'm just really passionate about Warcraft, you know, and I really don't feel like I should have to get up and go to work and run things. I just really don't feel like, you know, I know the water treatment plants need somebody to like provide clean drinking water, but what about me and my dreams? What about me and my goals? Do you think that society would be like, well, that's okay, George, don't worry about it. Just concentrate on your Warcraft guild. And if people start dying from, you know, untreated drinking water, fuck them. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's fine to sit there and say, well, I don't think this is fair to me, but that's completely delusional. That's not reality.